I don't usually post pictures of my kids online, but they're infants and you can barely see them, so, you know, it's fine. But a YouTuber named Ryan Stone tweeted, showing off the F trophies for clout. So the babies are trophies that I'm showing off. It's perhaps not a surprise that a picture of a proud father would be so upsetting to the sort of man who clearly never had one.
'79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take one.
40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone. Does that make sense?
Where they say there are Indian people pooping on our beach.
It's a spool of wire. 40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone.
Oh, boys, fellas, have I got the greatest news for you? Have I got the best thing you've heard of all goddamn day? Oh, what is he talking about? Why is he so happy? Well, it turns out Millennial Perez Hilton, aka Milo Yiannopoulos, has some tea. What is tea? Tea is like gossip. But they just say spilling tea because Zoomers just have to, they're like sailors. You can't just call things what they are. You have to make up your own name for it. It's not a door, it's a hatch. It's not stairs, it's a ladder. It's not, it's not a stomach, it's a shit locker. You know what I mean? Oh boy though. Yeah. Okay, enough blue balling you. Daily Wire. You guys remember that? Daily Wire? Matt Walsh? All that stuff? Just hired high-priced bankruptcy lawyer. Coming at the tail end of U.S. aid, cancellations of all kinds of patronage. Yes, the rumors are true. The Democratic Party, through the funding of the United States taxpayer, has been paid to literally be the opposition. Paid, astroturfed opposition. And now that Trump got in, he canceled the thing, and the money's gone, and they're going bankrupt. And couldn't have happened to a nicer group of guys. And so many people are like really fucking irritated. Me, I'm happy. Not just because I get to see these guys like not do well, which, you know, whatever. The part that makes me happy is knowing that the content that comes out of the Daily Wire was AstroTurf, because the alternative is that's the stuff that wins in the marketplace of ideas. And I am far happier to know that the FGR is not winning in the end. Oh, just rubs you the right way. It's like Christmas and the birthday and America's Independence Day and Britain Day and all the days all wrapped into one day. Which is great news for a man who never had one. So yeah, today, this episode is in honor of my good buddy, conservative stalwart, political pundit, absolute lover of Israel, Matt Walsh. Absolutely. This is for him. Hey, Matt, good luck. I'm sure you'll land on your feet, sir. If at all in doubt, start showing off your kids. That'll always get some likes. Daniel Bell, by the way, in here, which I got it. Okay, you know what? Daniel Bell has been a long-time subscriber of the channel. He's just in the comments here, and I'm not trying to single him out, but there's something I gotta find. It's been driving me nuts. Are you the Dan Bell filmmaker, or is that just the name you picked? Yeah, this guy. It always makes me wonder. If you guys don't know, there's this channel called This Is Dan Bell, and he was in Canada, and he goes through like the old abandoned malls and stuff. No, that's just your name. Oh, so you're like in Office Space with the whole why is your name Tom Jones? Why don't you just change it? It's like, I'm not the ass clown. That's too bad. He even kind of looks like you. Anyways, free gender, $2 super chat. Get ready for the divorces. Oh my God. Yeah, his Roach Motel vids were fire. Those, the abandoned malls, all of it. It was just pretty good. And he had he perfected the schizo vaporwave aesthetic. He really did. I'm very impressed. Any man who can use Helvetica that well in thumbnails is a good man in my books. Anyways, enough gloating over the failures of people that I consider tarded. I was looking at topics, and I was half tempted to do a Looks Money Game one. Half tempted, but then I'm like, you know what? We did 5 of those on Rule 0, and it's mostly the I have no ideas idea, so I'm like, no, we're not going to go there. I can repeat the same stuff, and there's always been guys in the chat saying, yeah, I've been around long enough. I've seen him rotate through his content now twice, because there's certain beats that I like to hit, and then every now and then you kind of revisit. A little bit of a change in that I'm talking about high trust versus low trust, because I mean, let's face it, if you're here because you hit upon an acrimonious divorce or a embittered cheating bitch ex of a wife or a girlfriend or whatever, the military tried charging you with espionage, some random common event that happens to men worldwide, and you're in here and you get angry people that are commiserating with you and it feels good. Yeah, fuck that bitch. Yeah. And then you start seeing, oh, so this is hey, there's some stuff here I could probably, work on so this doesn't happen to me again. And then it's kind of oh, I see. This is the part where I kind of enabled people to treat me like this. And I could fix that stuff. And then you got your covert contracts, and then you got your nice guy, and then you got your frame, and then you got dread, and then you got, increasing your looks, then you got your game, then you got business, and then you end up pivoting into one of 3 things. One, Evola and esoteric autism. And you could burn out that way if you want to. Shout out to the few people that know who have done that route. You can go into the politics side of things, pull a Cernovich, go get out of this shithole. Take all that money from your Facebook ex-wife and spend that on pretending like you make a difference. Or you can just stick with it. I don't know, do what you do. I'm the first guy who's I'm going to pivot into gainful employment. And you're like, what? Yeah, I'm going to write books. I'm going to entertain people. You don't do that. Yeah, you can. Anyways, the one thing you learn flat out is that I don't think the meme of us living in a high trust society ever existed. I really don't. I think the rules were more stable. Sure. But for the most part, it's that people want to, in the game theory, they call it, was it betray? Just call it betray. There was trust or betray, right? Everybody wants to do betray. Everybody wants to signal trust. And it's just a big lying grift. Amplified slightly only in the sense that people are no longer subtle about it. And so you never have that plausible deniability. There's actually, I talked about it last week. That concept of, oh, for fuck's sake, I can't remember the goddamn name of it again. What did I call it? Anyways, whatever. It's the concept that when you're given, it was a Rory, I can't remember his guy. All right, whatever. The point is, oh my God, were you not prepared for this? Tell me about it. When you're given 2 choices and each choice has differences, we will tend to exaggerate the beneficial differences on the choice that we made or the one that we were forced to make, the one that was thrust upon us, and minimize the benefits of the ones that we didn't make or didn't have thrust upon us, and vice versa. The point is, we learn to like what we get. We don't actually learn to get what we like, which has some beneficial things to it, right? When you're forced to eat shit with a smile, there's real benefit in training yourself not to want to put a bullet in your head. Absolutely. At the same time, that's not really, from the red pilled side of things, everybody's like, you know what? Why don't we just try getting what we like? Running into the first problem. Well, what do you like? And you're like, holy shit, I don't know. I have no idea what I like. I just know I hate the goddamn Democrats, and I hate why can't these bitches be nicer? And then you realize guys have like this existential crisis and like, oh my God, I've never been selfish my entire life. No wonder why all these selfish guys are just running roughshod over the whammon and over the business and over all of this stuff. It's like, I get it. Because they actually just went for something and nobody else did. Jean Simon Larose with the $5 heartfelt son of a bitch super chat.
They're very good. This is really, they've taken it.
True Alpha.
Named Ryan Stone.
It says, I asked Murphy about the article he wrote, cuckolding his wife. Clear up the cuck article. Clear up the cuck article.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline.
I am now concerned for my career.
And I'm still recommending clear up the cuck article.
You know what? Fuck you for bringing this up. Yeah. Fuck you. Heartfelt.
I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
It is just...
That's great. That's you should.
Fuck you.
Sorry, apologies.
Just keep going, dude. One foot in front of the other. Before you know it, this will all be in the rearview mirror. Fuck you.
1 foot in front of the effing other. All right, Jean-Simon Larose. I've been here long enough. I could make a red morning bingo card of the thing you're going to say. Actually, you know what? Side note, pause. I hate, and I no. So that was something that's always kind of got me when I was watching everybody, like, you know, between Rollo, Jordan Peterson, the guys, everybody. Rule zero is when I was doing the hosting still, I was noticing this, is that you watch somebody's, you don't have to watch very long, watch a couple shows, and then you kind of realize, like, what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses, what is it he can do. And so when I would crack, and this is why I don't like hosting it anymore, because it's so much goddamn work for like $6 in super chats. But like you would tailor the content. Like, what topic do I want to pick? Well, it's like John's going to be there, Rich is going to be there, Rollo, and then Jack or something like that, right? And so I'm like, I know if I pick this topic, he'll do this, he'll do this, he'll do this, and he'll do that. It made things easier in that you just set people up for success. And it was nice because it's like, yeah, these guys, I want them to look their best. And so if I pick topics, they go in that big line. The downside of that is, yeah, if you're able to like know what I'm going to say before I'm going to say it, it means I'm no longer growing or refining or learning. To a certain extent, you can't stop that. There's going to be, like, you guys have obviously known what I talk about by this point. You know everything about, well, I hope so, you know everything about the sidebar and my interpretations of the stuff in there. It's not going to change. It'll get refined, it'll get fiddled with, but it's ultimately not going to change. So that, I'm fine with that. But what terrifies me more than anything is me, brand new topic, guys, I'm going to talk to you about this, and everybody's like, oh, is he going to do this? Take a drink. And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's almost like a verbal tick. And so, yeah, if you do see this, absolutely call it out, because it will force me to look inside and update the firmware to give you guys something better. Anyways, back to trust. Yeah, I don't think there was much. I don't think it was there. We got to lie. We got to cheat. The existential crisis of, oh, I don't know what I want. What do I get? And we had to develop certain, like, between the group of guys. And it wasn't even so much that we consciously did it. It just kind of emerged. And that's my favorite part. Well, I always say it's my favorite part, but it's one of my favorite parts of kind of like being in the whole space and on the communal space back when Reddit wasn't, well, it was always a shithole, but, you know, it was less of a shithole. It's more like narwhals and bacon as opposed to like Trump's the Hitler stuff. And, guys were noticing, you know, just try things. They were just risk-taking behavior. I'm going to go cheat on my wife. I am going to go become a power lifter. I'm going to go take TRT. And guys are just trying all kinds of crazy stuff. And it reminds me of like one of the very first Rollo pieces. What did he call it? The myth of the midlife crisis. Remember that one? Where they're talking about a midlife crisis, and what it actually is a guy who hits his 35 to 45 year, his peak years, guys peak. And then once they're at the top of the value in their value chain, they start enjoying it. They start acting selfishly. They start looking out for their own interest, right? And then all of a sudden, Women have to call this a fucking existential crisis or a mental disorder, because otherwise it's just guys doing what girls did at 23. Oh, I'm top bitch right now. I'm going to act like a damn fool, you know? And here's the thing though. So sometimes that happens naturally. If a guy's super successful, he gets kind of melancholy about it. It's like, that's it. I got a family, a car, a house, 401ks maxed out. Now what? And they're like, I'm going to buy a convertible and motorbike and American Beauty, the thing, whatever. But then we were noticing guys just like, they never got to that point ever in their life where they were building towards it. So it's like guys in their 20s and guys in their 30s were like, you can just do things. You can just do things. And so they started doing things. And the things were mostly cringe. Some of it was shit. But whatever. It's your choice to make. You're allowed to be cringe. You're allowed to do shit. I'm sitting here doing a podcast about the red pill. Like, I am not on the moral high ground in order to judge. Not in that moral high ground. Not one bit. But yeah, and it was up to them. Whatever. I want to buy $10,000 of Warhammer figurines, turn the guest bedroom into my Warhammer repository, or I think you call it an armory. I don't fucking know. But you see what I mean? Just try that out. Yeah, let's go flirt with women or whatever, and start a business, take some risk-taking behavior. And then guys started to like appreciate this. Dude, I understand why risk-taking behavior is a male activity. Now imagine the same impulsive risk-taking behavior taken by low impulse control people. If you think I'm using a euphemism for one thing or another, you're probably right. There's like 8 things in there that could fit that, and I'm trying not to be, like mean. But so imagine that level of a lack of impulse control or risk-taking ability, but you add on top of that a level of competence and professional knowledge of guys like you, not you. All of a sudden things start getting better. It's one of those, it's still to this day, I keep saying this one and it just boggles my mind because it seems like a platitude, but it works. Where I'm like, yeah, once a guy red pills himself, once a guy escapes from the Matrix or whatever metaphor you want to use, is they always end up earning like 25% more money. It's just money, just sitting there, just sitting on the ground, and guys just aren't picking it up. And it's not some magic formula. It's not like you do some secret scroll handshake. It's for the most part, guys are just too conflict avoidant or risk averse to go and switch jobs, to go and ask for a promotion, to go and get transferred to a place with this one, to quit your job and start a new one, to start a business that you've never wanted to do. And it turns out, for the most part, just trying, like just adopting that idea of you can take risks, calculated risks, and be okay with it, and you'll turn out okay. And it's not this, you'll make $1 million and buy 17 Bugattis. Just like real alpha male, let's go kickboxing. No, it's just like, hey, that $90,000 a year job right now is now $115,000. You're like, holy shit, that's not bad. That's an extra car payment. So I can buy myself that Ducati I've always wanted. You know what I mean? I'm starting to think Ryan plays Custodes. I don't actually play Warhammer. There's like, all right, Warhammer break, pause. I don't play Warhammer. I don't read the Warhammer books. I've done my best to do research into the 3 things that guys are supposed to learn about. World War II, Warhammer 40K, you know what I mean? That stuff, or space. And I'm like, all right, I'm knowledgeable enough about 40K that I enjoy the idea, and I could see the heavy metal inspiration from it. Big reasons I don't. A, I don't want to spend $10,000 on plastic figurines or figs. B, if I'm going to do painting again, I'm sure as fuck not painting figs. I'm going to be painting paintings again. And C, a lot of fucking room required for those. I've seen those guys. They have armies. They have rooms that are the size of my condo. And it's just for their tabletop adventures. And I'm like, at like whatever Toronto is right now, like $2,000 a square foot. It's like, no, man. Oh, and the last reason, what was it? I did space, I did cost, I did painting. Oh yeah, and then the last reason is just the amazing time sink of an investment. And it's like I have so many things on the docket to do and limited amounts of time and a life outside of it. And it's just, now is not the time to pick that up. Having said that, if I were, I think I would like the orcs. I do like the cheekiness of it. I do like the whatever. It's just a mushroom orc that like believes in magic, and it's got that same vibe. Like I remember Heavy Metal Magazine, the movie. If you guys remember this, there was one of the shorts in there of this World War II fighter pilot who had the green globe going through the thing, the Lochnar, yeah, the Lochnar. And then all of a sudden, all of the World War II vets started turning into zombies, and he had to fight them off in his World War II thing. I kind of like that whole, let's just take the piss with things. You know, like Vikings versus zombies kind of stuff. They tried to make fun of it a bit on that, what's that one 80s nostalgia thing? Not Kung Fu. Kung Fury. Like that. You know, like a Viking riding a T-Rex going to fight Hitler in a time machine made by Hacker Man. Like stuff like that. I love that stuff. But yeah, so the orcs. Definitely the orcs. I don't like the idea of those elvish things or whatever they call them there. I don't like the idea of the space dwarves. The space marines are kind of too much of like, yeah, I get it. Oh, Doom Killer. Yeah, whatever. It's just like, eh. And I know there's like 15 factions of that. And I know there's 15 factions of that. And if I had to pick a second pick, it'd probably be those, what are the Imperium forces? The ones in the jungle that are basically like Rambo. It's like Contra, but it's Warhammer. Like that would be my second choice. Anyways, enough of that shit. The female concept of trust is different than the male one. Maybe we could use different words so we stop mixing it up. Derek, $5 super chat, or €5 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, my fellow European. Yeah, well, see, there's a whole conversation on that too, right? Back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, I'd say at latest 2012, back when Roosh was still useful. I think Rolo was even still anonymous back then. But, yeah, they were talking about like is honor a male thing, and it absolutely is. But trust is a simple word. It just means, you know, it's consistency. There's no deception, and it's not. There's no female concept of trust. Trust to them is like foreign. It's like you talking about periods. You're like, I don't know. I can use the word. I can describe what a tampon looks like, but I don't really fucking know what it means. You know. So yeah, they don't, and it's just. To them, honesty is a tool, just like any other. And to be fair, a lot of the smarter guys, like the Machiavellian Dark Triad stuff, a lot of guys kind of adapt to that too, right? Like, what's more Machiavellian than lying to get to your way? Or not even just lying, just a half-truth, right? But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We're busy getting distracted right now. But yeah, you could use different words, but trust is a fairly universal concept, and just like don't trust women. Even the ones that like you, even the ones that love you, still can't trust them. Because ultimately, even if they wanted to be 100% honest all the time, they can't. Their own blinders get in the way of that. And so you always have to do trust but verify. It's like you're talking to a goddamn pinko communist. And I hate. I'm just kidding. Free gender, $20 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the super chats. I wish I had a $20 one, but I tell you what, just for you, let's shit on old.
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower, and they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
Off topic. Forrest Gump was not the father. Oh my God. According to the book, and he even met the dad. There was a book for Forrest Gump? Are you kidding me? No way. Holy shit, there was, by Winston Groom. What's the summary? Oh, it's literally the same thing. Just they made some differences to make things look better. Good job, Spielberg. Don't mind that. My entire week's been a write-off, by the way, and I apologize for that. I normally have a lot more stuff out during the week, but Ooh. Renovating the bathroom. And so it's like my hands are raw and they hurt and my hair is filled with gypsum, and tiling today is this is like my break technically. That's why I'm so goddamn happy. Yeah, Forrest Gump, the dad that stood up. You know what? That kind of does feel like a boomer thing. Just bumble your way through history, making yourself a fortune doing God knows what, working hard and getting exactly what you want to, only to marry and take the kid as your own, right? That sucks. Has anybody seen the pictures of Bonnie Blue getting married? Oh, the Mrs. Was that the 100 cock girl or the 1,000 cock girl? Hold on a second. I need a Jamie, man. Oh, she was the 1,000 cock girl. Jesus. Talk about this, right? Like how much of a bitch do you got to be when your friend's like, I'm taking 100 dicks in a day. And you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then you go behind her and do 1,000. And just to like, look, whatever. You can do it, or not. The logistics. Have you guys ever tried to assemble 1,000 people for anything? A book launch? A live stream? I can't get 1,000 people to listen to me run my mouth. And she was like, I'll get 1,000 people to rail me. Or I'm assuming it was like I'm assuming not every guy gets the normal hole. There's probably a mouth guy, a vag guy, and then 2 hand guys. So it's like 4 at a time. Can you fit a foot guy in there? I don't know. When you're doing 1,000, you got to think 24 hours, do the math. But like logistically, that's goddamn difficult. And either her or her handler really, really, really need to be involved in supply chain management on critical infrastructure across Canada or the States or whichever place she's doing this one, because my God, they would fix this trade issue instantly. We're wasting our talent on the wrong things. Dark Knight Dev, $5.69. I have bookmarked so many Returns of Kings articles, but they're all kaput. Is there a way to restore those articles? By the way, would you try TRT at this age? I think there is actually. One sec. So the archives I've mostly used are there's a red archive. The question is, do they actually have... Oh yeah, look at this. They do. All right. Here, Dev, you're welcome. You're welcome, sir. The entirety of Return of Kings is here. I actually have not spent a huge amount of time with the ROTK forums. ROTK, So Suave was never my thing. It was mostly the subreddit. Dalrock is one I'm like critically undereducated on, which it's on my list of things to do. But yeah, everything in here. Oh, and they even have, you could even organize it by author. So I could see this stuff on Nihilist Frank, Aviator, Aaron Clary's articles are all here. Alfonso Taft. I remember Donovan said he at one point had... And it's funny, Marmot Respecter. He's this guy that we're mutuals on Twitter. And he apparently did some writing on this one too. I would be curious which one it was. Oh, there's all Donnie's articles too. Look at that. Real reason women get abortions. 3 common tactics women use on you. 4 ways to stop. 7 reasons of this. 2 of this. 3 of this. Dude, his entire history of articles is just lists. 5 reasons that women deserve to be paid less. 4 things I do to maintain an elite physique. 3 simple ways to get your financial house in order. I didn't think my marriage was all that bad until I found the Manosphere. Dude, Donnie is a prolific guy. Fucking hell. You know what? I should be giving him way more juice than I do, considering how much work he's put in. I might have to do a Donnie session here and find out. So I can avoid Donnie completely. Now that's great programming. Oh, Chesty in with this savagery. You love to see it. Oh, by the way, would you try TRT at this age? I mean... Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm of 2 minds on it. I'm kind of with a lot of other guys where, and I've been informed that this is largely like a not true statement, but everybody I've talked to, with the exception of one person who's been on TRT, has said that like once you're on, that's it. You can't get off. It messes with your hormone, your ability to produce your own. And so like once you get on, you get on. I don't like that. Like it even took me 25 years to finally decide on a tattoo. So like permanent changes, I tend to be very, very, very cautious about them. At the same time, I don't think I need it. Not yet. Not for a while. For the most part, it's anytime, like right now, couple extra, but it's been winter. It's been the winter in Toronto. So not nearly as active as I'd like to be, but then in the spring you pick it back up. So I don't mind. You gain a couple pounds, you lose a couple pounds. I get into fairly good enough shape. I've never really needed it. But I'm not saying never. And I don't like it's cheating. I don't care about that shit either. It's just about, is it a tool that I need for what I need? Having said that, if somebody said that would cure the arthritis in my hand, oh fuck, I would take it in a heartbeat. If you guys don't know, I was hit by a car back in 2012, 2011. One of those 2 years. Hit by a car. It shattered my hand. I almost lost 2 fingers. Some nerve damage in my side. Ocular bone. Whole right side of me was just fucked up. And my bike, oh, the handlebar got messed. It was like $1,000 bike. Anyways. Yeah. Deploy around the world. Fight pirates. 11 years in the military. Nothing. Moved to Montreal. First fucking month. Some asshole with a car. Bienvenue, asshole. Pluck. Anyway, so the big effect with that one is that I have arthritis in this hand. And so it's like, I have to lift. If I'm doing like any lifting with more than like a plate, I have to wear hooks. I just do. Even lat pull downs, I have to wear hooks sometimes. It's not because I can't handle the weight. It's just the pain. Like sharp shooting pains. It almost became a full-time T-Rex. Montreal trafic, yes. C'est bon. Sorry, c'est pas bon. Civilians more dangerous confirmed. Absolutely. And that's the thing too. Like I'm a fairly safe driver. Like a rider. I'm not one of those guys that runs stoplights or anything like that. I literally do follow the rules, and I've realized over the reason that when you're cycling, you can't follow the rules. Because if you are a safe cyclist, you are invisible. Nobody can see you. It's like a hypnosis thing. It's like when you drive on Alberta roads and you drive straight for 100 kilometers, your brain kind of lulls you into like a trance, and then you just drift off the road. Like so many accidents in Alberta happen that way, where it's just like a straight road, nothing around, and then they just drove off into the thing. You're like, what the fuck was that? That's what happens. So that you kind of have to be a bit of an unsafe driver because it looks different than what the driver is used to, so they actually notice you're there. Yes, they get mad at you, but at least they'll see you. So there's my cycling lesson for you. You have to be an asshole or nobody knows you're there. Also, you don't win against a car. You just don't. But anyways, we're back to the high trust, low trust. I don't know if it was ever really there. I don't think it was. I think, and this is something I've kind of been learning as I've tried to expand my my Twitter influence, because I got fiction books to sell now. We need more than just red pill guys to listen to this stuff, right? And it's mostly from the Democratic side right now, because they're the losers in American politics, and they're the loudest voices. In Canada, we're not quite there yet, but you still see the same thing. It's just faker and gayer. But so if it's something that doesn't benefit, and this is the point I wanted to get to here. It's got it in my notes. If it's something that doesn't benefit you, you ignore it. If it's something that does benefit you, you praise it. If it's something that harms people you don't like, you moralize it. And if it's something that harms people you do like, you finger wag at it. And of course this looks like hypocrisy. If you're looking at this like there's some kind of universal set of rules and we're all on the same team, yeah, you're going to see this as a transfer to a low trust society. It's like, oh my God, if we don't have rules, we have anarchy. Anarchy. And that's kind of like, and that's the meme where for America, whereas Republicans like to lose with honor or something like that, which again, I'm not trying to get political here. It's not being political. The point is I'm showing you like the human condition as best I see it, but I'm sure I'm not far off from what you see as well. I-80, dead straight through 3 states, Iowa, Nebraska, and Wyoming. Dude, Wyoming was as close as I've ever seen to like an American Albertan highway. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, back to this. So yeah, friend-enemy distinction. That's a lot of it, is it? Like there's this one guy on there who was a veteran, possible furry, progressive, but not, middle, centrist. I don't know. A whole bunch of words. He writes a Substack and he's bigger than me. It's all I know. And I get irritated so much with his takes. So I'm like, that's exactly what I need right now. Something to pick fights with, but be respectful. Yeah, he would just get very mad at Trump's usual antics and behavior. It's so buffoonish. It's not very presidential. And then I'm like, well, I don't know, passing out in the middle of a thing wasn't very presidential. They weren't presidential back during this and during this. And then you see that whole argument of like the whataboutism, and you're realizing, oh, so it's like, it's different when we do it, but when you do it, it's bad. And then you realize that's everywhere. Like even take just a plain old simple situation with you and your wife or your roommate if you're a college kid at home, and you left dishes in the sink 'cause you were just too fucking tired. You got off a 12-hour shift and you're like, I'm just going to make myself a sandwich. I'm going to go to bed. I will deal with this in the morning. And then you get up in the morning and your significant other is like, you lazy fuck, just put it in the goddamn dishwasher, blah, 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 blah. And you're a piece of shit. And you're like, all right, fine. And you buckle on that one. You apologize. And what are you fighting? Whatever. And then some indeterminate amount of time later, sometimes the same day, your wife, your significant other, your college roommate, whoever, does the same thing. Oh, I have to vacuum the floor, so I'm gonna leave the dish here and I'll go off and do the thing. But when you're like, hey, but it doesn't bother you. You know, the dish is taking 30 minutes to get from here to the dishwasher. It's not gonna kill me. I'm not anal that way. And you're like, hey, what's this? You were freaked out when I did it. Well, yeah, it's different when I do it. And then you realize the excuses come and you're seeing that same friend-enemy distinction. The little things there, the little trusts. It's like, oh, so when I do it, it's because I'm an asshole and I'm lazy as shit. When you do it, it's because of these things you had to get done. And in your head, you're thinking the exact opposite. When I did it, it's because I was fucking tired after work. But when you did it, you were just doing it because the rules don't apply to you and your shit doesn't stink. See what I mean? There's never really this high trust. There's just a series of low trust events. And again, well, what do you do with this information now that you've gotten it? It's the same thing. I have, like, was it Jean Simon with this whole like bingo card? Same. Here's your bingo card, man. What do you do? I don't know. Have a boundary. Hey, don't be shitting on me about plates in the dishwasher. I'll get to it when I get to it. If it bothers you that much, you put it in there. Well, then I'm putting them in there every time. Then learn to be bothered less, find a new husband, or fucking let it go. Like, that's your 3 options right now. And then you realize you can just do things. I'm tired. I'll put it in later. You go and you put it in later. Maybe you're a piece of shit and you really are that lazy and you just never do anything and all this nagging has an absolute point. Then that's on you to be like, look, I'm either so lazy that I'm willing to put up with getting nagged constantly, or I'm so lazy that I'm willing to run the risk that she's not going to leave over this and do my thing, or I'm going to learn to not be lazy and start putting my dishes away and I'll do it to my standards and to my thing. And then you enforce those as your boundaries. Remember back in half an hour ago when I was like, guys don't know what they want? This is, in a small way, the process you have to go through to learn what you want. How clean a person do I want to be? You're not going to be the clean person that just lets your wife nag you into what you want to do, because then the nagging never stops. Because once you clean the dishes, it's the penguin always faces east. There's a Stephen King reference for you. There's always some new hypothetical, hyper-specific, ritualized cleaning magic incantation that you have to do, and it's an ever-changing landscape because it has nothing to do with the dishes. It's just about somebody expressing their own frustrations or anxiety or neuroticism. And so if you let her define it, you're just going to end up being the taskmaster. Oh my God. You'll end up be doing all kinds of stupid learned helplessness shit. Like you have to wash the dishes clockwise, not counterclockwise. You have to polish the and you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? You ever wonder about all these guys that like became hardcore gamblers or like cheating on their wives, shit like this? It's these guys that have this bottled up, pent up frustration based on zero boundaries over extended periods of time with highly neurotic wives. And then all of a sudden, one day they just fucking snap and go on a hooker spree. He was such a nice man. How did that happen? Well, that's how that shit happens. That's how that shit happens. Oh, back to the bike thing. Chad went there. Yeah, same thing, riding a motorbike. I noticed when I started riding here, I got to be prepared to break the rules for your survival. Yeah, there was like, and I used to be a dirt bike guy. My brother had a cruiser for a while. My stepdad used to collect Harleys. So I'm kind of like the motorbike stuff. And a lot of our friends were in crotch rocket clubs. And we all kind of came to the same conclusions in our own different ways, where it's You just, like, you're supposed to be the equivalent of a car. So you follow the same rules as a car, except for always assume the car doesn't see you and is going to kill you. Once you make those assumptions, it changes your decisions a little bit better. And when in doubt, change the patterns, break the rules so somebody at least acknowledges you're there. That's it. You have to be a bit of an asshole, which is probably why women don't like bikes, but they love motorcyclists. You can see Edmonton from Winnipeg. Unfortunately, you cannot see Edmonton from Winnipeg, but that's only because of the curvature of the earth. But there is that saying in Saskatchewan that your dog ran away from home and for the next 4 hours you can still see him. The old roommate used to put dirty dishes in a box and put it in my room along with ashtrays from outside. Yeah, see, like, there's all kinds of crazy shit. By the way, this is one thing I think is going to happen that's gonna... Here's my prediction. Here's my prediction for the way relationships are going to go in the next 20 years. Because back in the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, kids moved out. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 at the latest. They moved out, they grabbed 6 roommates, they rented a condo together, and that's where they lived. It was like poverty living, but it got them out on their own. Kids don't do that anymore. Kids live at home till like 30. And then their first move is in with a spouse or whatever, right? Here's the problem with that, though. Those roommates, you're going to get into so many stupid fights over stuff like putting the dishes in the box or I was thinking of the story of the military where 2 guys on either side of me got drunk before inspection and then pissed out in the hallway. And so when I got out, I couldn't even go to the bathroom because there was 2 like puddles of piss on either side that I couldn't jump past. But yeah, you get all this kind of deviant behavior. And so you have to learn to negotiate your time around people and understand how to live with other people when the stakes are very low. Because roommates, who cares? It's not like a wife and kids. You can just say, oh, fuck you, I'm out of here. Or you can fight your roommate. You can't fight your wife one day because she gets mad. Wife put the dishes by the sink, and so we had a fucking brawl over it. But then afterwards we had a beer. It's like, never plays out that way. Never plays out that way. But that's the point. Now that we're going to have all of these stunted Zoomer kids who have gone straight from their parents' home to their spouse's home, or living by themselves to a parent's home or to a spouse's home, never having the poverty-stricken roommate experience, they are not going to be socially equipped to handle living with somebody long-term. And I think you're going to see a lot of stupid battles over dishes and laundry and stuff like that because they have never had roommates. I'm calling it now. Unless you have tyrannical parents than I did. Hey, you know what? I can't even fault them. I suck at cleaning, babes. You're so much better at it when you do it. Yeah, there's that one too. But again, it's here's your bingo card. It's always the same thing. Boundaries. Chore play boundaries. How do you want to live boundaries. It's all boundaries. It's all boundaries. You live and you do maintenance or cleaning your house and that stuff based on your standards and based on your timeline. Somebody can argue that you have a bad standard or a bad timeline. They may have a point. That's on you if you decide to take that into account or not. But for the most part, this is like a decision you have to make for yourself, and you have to learn how to do it. My ex-wife would loudly tam the toilet seat down when I left it up. Just give her a swirly. Give her a swirly. If you do that toilet seat one more time, I'm going to dunk your head in there and flush it. You wouldn't dare. By the way, you only have to hear "you wouldn't dare" once. Ask me how I know. You only ever have to hear that once. The first time you follow through, they never call your bluff again. And that's why so many people get their bluffs called, because they never follow through. Heck, even just last week with the stupid Walter, fresh and fit, threatening a boxing match with Sneeko. These things go the same way. People are so afraid to enforce their boundaries. Do you want to fight about it? Yeah, let's fight. All right, boxing match, let's go. And I'm like, you just watch. In a couple days, somebody's going to come up with some technicality that somebody didn't respond to the right email, and this will all fizzle out. And sure enough, well, I sent you a thing. You're supposed to respond to me by here. And now I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like I can be meticulously clean. I try to be more casual clean, and clutter's a different thing. Like right now we're doing renos, so like the place is just a sty and I don't like it at all. It's not slovenly messy, but it's like reno messy. Like there's a painting tray right here. There's a paintbrush right there. I don't like it. I don't like it. Some tools there. There's a hammer right here. I could hit you in the head. Yeah, but I find as long as you're not like unhygienically unclean, for the most part, it's really a matter of subjective opinion. As long as you're hygienic and it's not at the point where you have so much clutter that you have to like carve yourself a path outside of your place. I hate boomers for that. Out of all the things to hate boomers for, their hoarder mentalities, like the Great Depression is right around the corner, because they were never raised in any kind of Great Depression. They lived in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. When the fuck was anybody making, bread soup? They weren't. They just heard stories from their aunts and uncles about the 30s and the Dust Bowl, and they're all like, well, I better live like that. It's like, no, I think you're just hoarders. Fucking guy. Have you ever lived with an OCD person? I could do you one better. I have sailed with an OCD coxswain. You want to talk about meticulous cleaning? You have a coxswain that does ship inspections with OCD. Oh my God. The white glove treatment. He would walk in the room, take a big sniff in. He's like, dude, if I smell anything other than chemical, I'm gonna fucking kill all you guys. And you're like, Jesus. Anyways, we're getting off topic here. Let's do another ad and let's reset.
Boom, what's up, fam? Got some big news to share that unfortunately is not so good, so I'm gonna jump right into it. You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna cry. At least we can laugh at your eyes as you cry, like in the corner, like a little girl in the fetal position.
Free gender, $5 super chat. I think only the top 4% will get today. Everybody else will just pay for it. Women will prefer this because only hot guys will be allowed to hit on them. Dude, that is complete bullshit. I'm 100% convinced that is complete bullshit. First off, what the fuck is the top 4%? Define 4%. If you saw a guy who was 5% and you saw a guy who was 4%, would you know the difference? Like, I've said this a million times. When the top 20% of men get 80% of the women, everybody takes that to some universal thing of despair and doomernism. It's not the case. We are not a single hierarchy like an ant colony that has like Morlocks and Eloy. We are a matrix social species. What the fuck does that mean? Matrix. We have multiple social scenes we see. There's your family. There's your extended family. There's your workplace. There's your third spaces. There's the bar. Every time you go to the bar, well, I guess nobody does anymore, unless you're recently migrated to Canada. So welcome. Welcome, sir. Yeah, every time you go to a restaurant or a bar, you're creating a small ad hoc social scene, right? And we have hundreds of them. They're all interconnected. Some people are in some are in the others. In each of those infinitely divisible scenes, you are going to have a top 20%. And those top 20% of men will have the best interactions with the top 80% of the women. And this is why I'm like, this is such a bullshit doomer thing. Because you're like, oh, only 20% of the men are getting it. It's like, well, have more social scenes. And it's not even like you have to pick ones like, oh, Bugatti racing or something stupid like that. There is stories in Montreal. There's like those board game bars? It's like, hey, let's play Settlers of Catan and have a beer. There are guys just cleaning house in board game bars. Because you're a regular there. Oh, he's the guy that knows how to play Settlers of Catan. Let's hang out with him. He's the guy who's charismatic as shit. There is a podcast top 20%. Steven Crowder is swimming in it. Matt Walsh is swimming in it. Like, but there's all this stuff. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter how nerdy the hobby is. Doesn't matter how unattractive it is. There is an incel groupie. The top 20% of the goofy MGTOW incels are sleeping with the top 80% of women who are invading the incel space. There was this guy, Misandry today. He's a grocery store clerk, had a bit of the downy look to him, but he used to be a lawyer, and he made up all kinds of shit, and he was like, yeah, whammon, am I right? That was his whole thing, was like, whammon, fucking whammon. And there was this chick, Carolina Hermes. You may have seen the video where she was in her car ranting to me in my DMs, and I just posted. I'm like, dude, this is fucking funny. Anyways, and then like they would start spilling the tea, and all these guys, like he was sleeping with all these guys' wives and shit like this. If he can find his own nerd niche of MGTOW, black-pilled, incel YouTubers, and he, Downs McDownerson on Downey Street, could find a way to thrive in there. There's no excuse for you like, well, I'm fucking 6%. I can't make top 4. Better quit. It's like, no, they're not going to have to pay for it. I don't care how autistic you make women. There's no way you can't figure this out. Yeah, maybe if your only venue is online dating. Online dating is a flat hierarchy. Sure. Oh, I have to compete with every single guy that's within driving distance on Tinder. I can't get laid. Did you ever think about picking a place with a little bit less competition? Have you tried that? Every app is a dating site if you try hard enough. There are guys on Twitter get laid. They don't even let you know what they look like. I even know one. He's an author. And I'm not going to say which one he is. But you see just the Chevy Chase profile picture and the most ridiculous tweets ever. Meanwhile, he's like, hey, who's this chick? And you're like, oh, that's this person's. Oh, really? And then they go and they hook up and you're like, fuck, 5%, 4%. Fuck you. I don't mean fuck you. I mean fuck you to the idea. Anyways, Jean-Simon LaRose, $2 super chat. Bingo. Navy story. Did it. Oh, okay, fair enough. See, that I can live with. Where it's like, oh, I knew you were going to do a Navy story. I can live with that. Because like it's any element of my life that's taken at least 25% of it. Will, like, I should be able to give some anecdotes about it. Like art stuff, whatever. I was worried more about like the specific things you say. Like, you know, when Rolo says running up the flagpole thing. I find it hilarious. I love it. I would hate if I have my own running up the flagpole catchphrase. Having said that, I do love how John has his FGR, the fake he retarded. That one, I'm like, fucking muy bueno. Yeah, I miss the original 7. Too bad Carl isn't here anymore. Dude, I do. I miss Carl too. We've kind of drifted off. I haven't talked to him in like about a year now. Jesus. I wonder what he's up to. Interesting. Ryan just hit peak nerd. Oh, you have no idea, Matthew Magda. I could be I'm like the Voltron of nerds. Not because I'm particularly nerdier than anybody, but because I've been surrounded by the right people. Like, I think I've told that story before when I was in college and I had my 6 roommates in our condo, our row home that we rented. There was me, who I was like the video game guy. I knew about video games and I had all the consoles. And then there was my roommate who was the film nerd. He knew everything from Kurosawa on. And then there was the comic book nerd. He was like, you know, fucking Superman. Absolutely attractive guy. Super hardcore Christian. Had like every Wolverine comic. His house burned down. Recollected every single one again. All the X-Men, that kind of thing. He had like stacks of boxes. It was crazy. He could have stocked his own store. And then there was the one guy who was like the skateboarding nerd. He knew everything about skateboarding. He introduced me to The End, which is probably the best skateboarding movie ever. Flat out. And I know that sounds a little old head, but it's true. And then the last one, he was kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons nerd. Big, tall, goofy-looking guy, socially awkward, loves to be acerbic just for the sake of it kind of thing. And so when you put all these guys together, I got exposed to every nerd culture in the 90s and the 2000s. And so it's like, yeah, you can't top that. And that wasn't until my friend from MMA classes, he was like, here, let me teach you about Warhammer. And I was like, that was my first exposure to Warhammer. I was like, interesting. Free gender, $10 super chat. No, my argument is from the point of convenience. Learn game, bank 20 girls in 2 years, learn they're not worth my time, only worth my cash. Oh, yeah, and that's nothing new either, free gender. I get what you're saying there. Like, even in my life, I noticed that pretty goddamn quickly as I started racking up notches finally in my life in my early 20s. It was definitely a slow start. Oh, I guess I can't say it's a slow start anymore. Guys are like 35 and are like, what's a girl? And you're like, holy shit. I thought I was a slow start. Friends of mine were like, yeah, it's 16. The teacher diddled me. And I'm like, fuck. Here I am at 18, like wasting my life. But yeah, you're going to find most girls are not worth your time. And that's nothing new. That's always been the case. And there's reasons for it. It's not that girls are irredeemable whores. Some are. But sometimes it is literally just a clash of personalities. And then it's like, it's not my thing. Sometimes it's the girl is not in a place where she's even trying to settle down. If you've ever tried to lock down like a 21-year-old who's like at the top of her game, you're like, dude, I got so much attention. I don't need one. Fuck off. You get girls that have moved out of their parents' place and like never moved out of their parents' place. And so they are stunted socially. And you're like, I am not buying this fixer upper at all. And there's some women who are just fucking retarded. And they may learn and they may calm down, or it's just an incentive thing. So yeah, there's all these different reasons. Wrong time, wrong place, wrong person, wrong personality. Sometimes it's even your faults kind of bring out the worst in people. It doesn't matter. But yeah, most of the girls you date and most of the girls you sleep with are, what are they? I think it was Chesty that called them this, practice girls. If you're going to signal yourself as a practice girl, I'm going to treat you like a practice girl. Don't be mad that I call out the practice girl for not wanting to settle down. Jean-Simon LaRose, if you need to only learn one thing, it's damn it. Okay, so that's one. That's my end of the day officially killing. If you need to learn only one, learn the one thing, it's gone. It's gone. But see what I mean? That's the stuff that I don't like. And it's not just me, it's everywhere. And I was taught that, military. I was taught that when I was on my PLQ course, where they talk about your verbal tics when you're teaching. When you're teaching, students will pick up on them to the point that it's distracting for the lessons you're trying to give. And so your job as an educator is to minimize the amount of verbal tics and shortcuts that you use like this. And so we would all give sample lectures to people, and their whole job wasn't to pay attention to what you're lecturing about. You had to write a proper lecture. You had to do up your lesson plan, all that stuff, but their job was just to find your tics. And then you would get a shopping list of every fuck up you did during that whole hour. And it was crazy. Some people always start sentences with like certain words. Some people always end it with, like they have those certain verbal tics. Some people, it was fidgeting with their hands, playing with the pen, standing and hiding behind the podium, pacing with a certain way. There was all kinds of things. And none of the guys knew they were doing them. But then once you had that list, you were able to work on it. This is why for a lot of you guys, if you ever decide to podcast or lecture or speak at conferences or anything like that, I think the best thing you can do is get a recording and do a fit check. Find your own verbal tics and actively work at getting rid of them. And sometimes it's hard. Like you won't be able to get rid of them. So what you should do is you come up with, I don't know what to call it, but it's like a fake verbal tic. So an example I'll give you here is if you're one of those people that always fidgets with your hands, just hold a pen. Because then, yeah, you'll use the pen to point, and you'll twirl it like this, but that's a physical tic that you're focused on. It's the same thing for inspections. If you're doing an inspection, they're gonna find something wrong. That's the whole point of a military inspection. They're gonna find a problem with you. So when they inspect a certain direction, you make a clear mistake that's easily fixable early on in the process. So they find the thing that's wrong, they yell at you for it, and then they kind of gloss over the rest. It's one of those little tricks that you learned. Here's the thing, Nick August. Oh, Rob, you get it. You get it too. Yes, I've seen that one. Oh, yeah. Nick, no offense, but yeah, the knows, when you're making a point, you always use that as like your stall. But it's better than and ah. But yeah, the harshness. See, the harshness is more, that's there for purpose, comedic purpose. Yes, and I heard about this one too. Salt Lake Sit Down. I don't have a link for it. If Rob has it, he's got a thing here. He's doing his Salt Lake Sit Down with Chesty. It's always fun when Chesty manages to carve some time out of his day lawyering. So that way they can kind of banter about things. It's nice. Plus Rob, I always enjoy Rob with his his anti-religious stance. Because he's similar to me in that he kind of came from the inside. Like he was a very devout Mormon area Utah guy. My grandfather was a Baptist minister. And so I kind of came up with the worst side of those things. We're kind of like the ex-Catholics of that. And so we're not like the Redditors. It's like legit concerns. But again, that's like a high trust, low trust thing when you get down to it too. A lot of the people. And here's the funny part. Oh my God. You'll like this one, Rob. So we had to get plumbing done, obviously doing some bathroom renovations. And part of that is for insurance purposes, you guys need to hire a plumber for some of the basic plumbing. Replacing some valves that may be old for the buildings. Like, yeah, they're probably, like, we've had a couple failures in the building, so if you replace these, it would be smart to save you some hassles. We're like, sounds good. So we look, and we hire plumbers. We didn't think to ask the building what they recommended. And they brought this guy in. I don't remember what the company is, and I don't really care to name or shame here. We're already doing that, but the guy came in, and I knew something was up when all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we can't give you an estimate over the phone, even though you said exactly what you need with photos. We're going to have to send a guy in. We send him in. He starts talking about how he's amped and he's appreciative and he loves the challenge and he's just passionate about plumbing, which I'm like, all right, fair enough. I already see where this is going. But then, yeah, sure enough, at the end, comes in with his estimate. So for 3 valves and to take a toilet, he wanted like 5,600. We're like, what the fuck is this? Like, we had to look at each other like we were crazy. It's like, what the fuck? And we're like, and he's like, starts adding all this extra stuff that's like, it's very fungible. It's like, yeah, and the vibe. We're like, what the hell is this? And he's like, he cuts it in half like immediately. So we're like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody would say yes to that. And then we're finally like, look, it's like 3 valves. I could do it myself, insurance wise, not. We're just gonna not go with you. Thank you for your time. Paid him his fee for his inspection or whatever. Left a bad review of it on Yelp, and then all of a sudden the company starts. Oh, here's the point of what I was getting to with this story. And at the end, he's like, "Hey, before I leave, I just want you to know, as like a Christian, was there anything you would like for me to pray for you?" And I already know that vibe too. Like when it comes to low trust society, people who start doing that. And I'm not saying Christians are bad. I'm saying guys who are expressive Christians. Because I don't believe they really are. Or if they are, they're using it as like a moral shield, right? And I was like, no, thank you very much. Sorry to waste your time, and let him out. And then the company started like, they saw a review and they started texting and calling and just harassing us. They're threatening us with legal action. We're like, holy shit. They offered to pay us $50 to change our review to a good one. It was just so ridiculous. And that was the thing that made me laugh. It's like, yeah, high trust society. You don't have to evoke the name of our Lord to build trust. You just have to do your fucking job. But if you're in a low trust society, oh yeah. Yeah, Jesus saves. Does he? I know he does. What the fuck's that got to do with you fixing a valve? Prideful piety signaling. I've seen it. Yeah, that's actually a good term for it. I like that. But yeah, so that, and you see a lot of that. So as much as like I'm not shitting on religious people at all. I think some of my favorite friends, family, influences growing up have been some of the most devout people ever, but they were kind and passionate and honest people almost to a fault. It's at the point where I kind of wish some of them were a little more dishonest because they would get taken advantage of way less. The comic book guy, great example of that one too. He literally saved himself for marriage. And he's got 2 kids and a wife, and he's doing things down in the States right now. It's pretty good. So yeah, I know what like good Christians are like. Good Christians, you don't even know they're Christian unless you look for the signs. Ones that tell you they are, you can't trust them either. That's a low trust thing, and it doesn't matter. It could be like, how is that any different than feminist ally men? You know, feminist ally men. Those guys. Oh, I hate those guys. And I'm saying you know too much. Those feminist ally guys. Oh, we're just an ally. We're in this together. Trudeau even did that up here. He's like, I am the first feminist prime minister. 50% of women in the thing. And then one woman dared to say no when he wanted to do some illegal shit. And he fired her ass. Not only was she a woman, it was our attorney general. Not only was she a woman, she was also native, which is like double minority in Canada. Because like we have minorities and like, yeah, don't be racist, that stuff. But we also have like natives, which we're really trying to hype up the residential schools. Is like, Canada has our version of slavery. This is awesome. We could be guilty about this. So they're like inventing bodies and stuff. Because yeah, what we did was bad enough. But if we could really make it, like we need to make it all the way up to 1940s Eastern Poland level bad. We're like, yeah, we don't have bodies and gas. Let's make some up. Fuck it. Yeah, but I'm not talking about Prime Minister Trudeau. I'm talking about asshole. Pickup artist Trudeau. Son of a bitch. Since Ryan mentioned it, here's the link to tomorrow's show with Chest here. I'm going to pin that one. So if you're catching this one later, but not too late, you can catch this one. But that's the point. It's like people just say things. It's cheap investment signals. And I've talked about that before on the channel. It's the innate or the commitment skepticism bias. Dr. David Buss, Dr. Cindy Minson, Why Women Have Sex. It's a great read. It should be sidebar. The only reason it's not sidebar is because it's a little too academic and a little too impractical. But there is a bunch of books like that. There is The Red Queen. There is Alpha God. There is Why Women Have Sex, for example, which are great in-depth pieces into some of the concepts, but they're not the kind of thing you want to give to a guy who's just found this space, right? But the one thing they talk about there is the commitment skepticism bias. And what that means is that women have an innate, hardwired distrust of cheap commitment signals and tend to lack the trait to avoid high investment signals. That's why love bombing doesn't work. Generally, it does not work. And if it does work, it doesn't work a long time. But like a ring, a marriage, that kind of stuff works because there is investment on there. And everybody's like, well, rings make no sense. Diamonds are cheap commodities. It's no secondary market's not worth it. The fact that you're basically throwing money onto a ring and burning it in a pile, that's the signal. It's not that it's a diamond is great. It's that you can just shell $5,000, $10,000 on something with zero intrinsic value. That's the flex. Guys who do that have $10,000 to spare. That's what's attractive, not the ring. You be a poor guy, you steal an expensive ring, it doesn't have the same hit. Valentine's Day, same thing. It's not so much that you bought flowers, it's that you bought flowers, got them delivered to a work, got her to show off in front of her friends. All those little social signals. Same thing as when you see super attractive guys acting like bitches. The blue-pilled alphas, as Rollo calls them. Yeah, if you're attractive and strong and like you don't have to worry about signaling value because you have so much value just wafting off of you, you can absolutely self-deprecate. You can be the tall, jacked man talking about, oh, I'm a good feminist. I think women are great. You don't believe it, but it's easy to signal and it's cheap to signal because you can afford it. If you're an unattractive guy, you can try that, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. When you see Ian Miles Chong talking about whatever the fuck he talks about, but if he were to try to signal the same way that 6'2" Chad would signal, it's just, to him, it's just going to come across as evil and seedy and manipulative. But the big attractive guy, they're like, of course Andrew Tate is funding a school for women in the Middle East so they don't get beat. Like, of course. Ian Miles Chong, you're like, no, that guy, I'm pretty sure he's making a grape school. Fuck that. Flower at work for the frenemy. Okay, now you're just picking like the common anecdotes I do. You're not using verbal tics. So, I mean, I get it. It's good to know that I've used these anecdotes maybe a few too many times, but you don't have to be sorry anymore about it, is what I'm saying. So where am I going with all this stuff?
One of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel sent me a message. I actually appreciate that you took it from an idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attack. Like, if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
She did, in fact, not have us on that channel again. So kudos to her for keeping her word anyway. What we got here? Bingo, flower at work, no mercy, zero tolerance, fill my boots yet, love the word city. I like your channel, but I can't come here anymore. I'm tired of Billy. Everybody's tired of Billy. I don't know how he has not gotten bored. It's been like 3 years of this stuff. One of these days, I'm going to be walking down the street, minding my own business. I'm going to be turned into a skin suit and not even see it coming. Stalkers, am I right? Anyway, where are we going with this one? Oh, high trust, low trust. High trust, low trust. So when you get to this one, it's always been this case. You got what was the word? I got to remember this one. Prideful piety signalers. You've got the people that are intentionally lying because they can afford the hit, because they're just so goddamn attractive they can get away with it. God knows you got that new third world diaspora low trust stuff coming in. Like when you go to a certain part of town, like when I go to Brampton, you think I'm leaving my car unlocked? Fuck no. I'm sure there's really nice people in Brampton. There's some great Canadians in there. There's also the car theft capital of the world over there. So yeah, I'm not leaving my car unlocked. I'm not even driving to Brampton unless I have to. Fuck that. But you add all these things together and you just get a very low trust area. What do you do about that? And I guess we're at least not at the point yet where we have like third world low trust areas. You know, like when you get into a cab and you have to have like a specific routine so you don't get scammed. You have to negotiate the price before you even get into the car. It's like, I need to go to the airport. What's your rate for that? They have to give you the rate. You get in, you agree to that payment before you get in the cab. Otherwise, they'll shake you down afterwards. Because the meter doesn't work. Oh, my Visa machine doesn't work. Shit like that. Although you're starting to get that in Toronto too. Which is kind of annoying. So yeah, what do you do? And in the end, it's the same. Oh, I did it again. But it's the same answer for all of this stuff. Boundaries. What is it you will and won't put up with? Now, long term, and I know Chesty's going to agree with me on this one. Long term, you get yourself to a place where you just don't have to worry about this stuff, right? Ideally, you want to move to a neighborhood that's well off enough that people aren't doing bullshit. They aren't trying to scam you on Facebook Marketplace. Why? In a neighborhood where every home is $1 million, do you think people are scamming? Probably not. You'll have some problems. Oh, I know, Rob. We're on the list. We're on the list. Yeah, we're not at Sao Paulo craziness yet. Jean Simon LaRose, you mean small India? Officially, by the book, I mean Brampton. You guys can take from that whatever you want to. I just picked a random borough in the Greater Toronto area. If it has any connotations to it, I'm not taking any responsibility for what you hear. Only what I said. Why would you leave your car unlocked anywhere? Is it a Canadian thing? It's not that I do it. It's just there is some times where you forget to lock it and you come back and you're like, oh, thank God. And don't get me wrong. Here, I could probably leave where I live right now. I mean, granted, we have like parking inside of our place with access controls. But like my neighbors, there's zero worry about me leaving the house and locking the door to my place and then coming back and missing my TV and shit like that. Or leaving my car unlocked in the garage. Granted, it's in a garage, but yeah, stuff like that. But I'm in the part of town that's like the work hard, play hard part of town. Not in the Instagram influencers. That's actually down over by Lakeshore. That's where the Iceboat Terrace people are. That's the ones that are renters. That's the ones that always get into murders and shit like that. Mine is the one where people are like working all the fucking, like workaholics who like having a pool and a gym. That's where I live. And I'm fine with that. Yeah, and rural, like Marty's rural, never locked his car at his house ever. Most of the time my wife leaves the house unlocked. Yeah, there's that stuff too. Like, keep in mind, I'm in the downtown of like a major metropolitan city, so my risk assessment is just there's too many people here to be as... But it used to be far better than it is now. But ultimately, yeah, you want to get to that place. Now, this is kind of longer term than just how do I get the girls. And it's longer term than how do I lock down a girl? Or how do I get married? Like, all that's questions, that's life script stuff. We've talked about that to death on this channel all the time. And if there's not me, there's 30 fucking retards out here telling you about, oh, just get 3 simple tricks. No offense, Donnie. But once you're past that and you got to make these bigger decisions, and yeah, okay, so I need to move to a neighborhood that costs, $500,000 a home or $1 million a home or whatever like that in order to get out of this situation. Sometimes it's not even, and here's the weirdest part is that maybe this is just a Canadian issue, but I know it's mattered for manufacturing. Do you remember the cost, like price used to be linked to quality? If I bought a shirt for $10 and I bought a shirt for $100, I could tell there was something better. And if I had to make a choice, I know the $100 shirt would be better. Can't do that anymore. Now you have the same crappy Temu shirt, but it costs $100 because it's branded by somebody who's got great marketing. But you're still buying a piece of shirt. There is no correlation between price and quality. Now in Canada, the reason I bring this up is because they're doing the same thing here. We have so many foreign agents, and I'm talking like nation state agents, terrorist organization type stuff, criminal gangs, that home price no longer dictates safety or quality or national congruence. I think that's a euphemism I can use on this one, but you know what I mean? So now it's becoming harder, and I get that. It is becoming harder, and there may be a great new metric you can use. I don't know what it is yet, and it's probably going to be different for where everybody lives. So you have to kind of, and this is the part where, yeah, the game's getting harder. It's the same thing here. For when you're an older person, you don't have to worry about just getting broads at home anymore. Living close to the bar is the best way to pick broads up and take them home. Although, again, they don't go to the bars anymore, at least in Toronto, because Brampton decided to take them over, and it scares off the hoes. So you got to find where the hoes are going now. And right now there's like morning coffee bars. There is Taylor Swift concerts. There is running clubs. You have to go. And again, investment. To go to a club costs nothing. Costs cover charge. That's it. But to go to a running club, you need to have shoes and you need to be able to run. To go to a coffee thing, you have to be up at 7 a.m. Like, and these are like expensive costs. And again, it all carries over with the commitment skepticism bias. Girls aren't going to go to places unless there's more of an investment for guys to get in there. Separates higher quality from lower quality. And this trails all the way up. What is harder to get in a home? I don't know if this is true or not. Co-ops. I can see co-ops. HOA co-ops being a big marker for this kind of thing. If you guys don't, I don't know if it does this everywhere else too, but I know up here, there's been a few places we saw that were like this. And what it is somebody can sell you a house or a condo in a co-op, but the people in the co-op have to approve the sale before you get to sell. So they get to gatekeep who lives in their little neighborhood. So I can see that being a very effective mechanism for keeping people in and out. I heard Marty's Turkey Shack can't compete with Hooters. Didn't Hooters? Yeah, Hooters. Hey, Hooters is rejiggering their sales strategy. They decided against fat feminists and shitty wings. I made the case that just put scantily clad, hot, pleasant women in a place that serves adequate chicken wings and beer. Hopefully they take my advice. They can bring themselves back to greatness. Make Hooters great again. We will find out. Rob says, okay, you got laid, but did she bake you a cake? All alpha, no beta, makes her want to stay around. Yeah. That's the thing too, right? It's great to have all the alpha stuff. Rob's absolutely right. It's those investment signals. It's one of those things that, guys, it's good for us to adopt too. What do you mean? Isn't that, you just said girls did that? Like, yeah, well, most of the red pill mental models are female strategies adopted to male sensibilities. Absolutely. There's tons of them. And that's another one. The skepticism or the commitment skepticism bias. Have a little bit of that as a guy. And yeah, you got laid, but did she bake you a cake? Did she cook for you? Did she clean your house when you were gone? Little things like that make a huge difference because sex is easy. Sex is easy. Sex is cheap. They're giving it away. Dude, that one chick gave it away to 1,000 guys and 1,000 guys, and it like she had to work hard to get 1,000 guys to show up. If I'm not mistaken, there was probably 800 guys and 200 guys just went to the back of the line at the end because they're that thirsty. But yeah, absolutely. Sam Whiskey. Oh, a classic for the channel. $4.99 super chat. Sir, last time I saw that shirt, it was wearing the Governor General of Canada. Oh, you mean this chummy? Yeah. That's funny. The Governor General. I remember I met one of our Governor Generals back when I was in the military. What's her name? The chick. Jean Simone? No. Not Adrienne Clarkson. Michelle Jean. Dude, she was such like if she was pleasant and nice enough, but you could tell she was like a diversity hire one. I want to say, former journalist. Most of the time they just like the prime minister picks whoever his favorite author is. And like, hey, do you want to be the surrogate for the queen or the king? Like, yeah, sure. Why not? What's it pay? Oh, a lot. It pays so well. So yeah, you essentially get to be like the stand-in for the royal family. Like, how great is that? And they have one job. Oh, and she was Haitian. I forgot about that too. So yeah, you see that in Springfield, Ohio. They brought him in to eat all the chickens, and here we bring him in to act as the king in their stead. Yeah, but did she make a beef Wellington? Oh, she went to your graduation parade. Oh, that's nice. I was actually a little bit pissed because at the time the coolest thing was when you could, and this is going to sound so stupid, but at the time it was like, dude, Rick Mercer came on the ship. You're like, wow, why can't we get Rick Mercer? Nowadays thinking about that, it's like, why did we ever think that? That's the most cringe thing. Americans are like, what the fuck is a Rick Mercer? Think of Rick Mercer as the Canadian Jon Stewart / John Oliver / Late Show like all of those, that archetype. Canada only had one, and it was Rick Mercer. You know, he's like, oh, he's kind of a comedian, he's kind of funny, but it's more entertaining. He does Jon Stewart, but he also does Louis Black, but he also does like Stephen Colbert, and he kind of does them all together. And they'd always film him, and he always had like these things where he'd rant about something, but he was in this one Toronto alleyway that's got like tons of graffiti on the walls. It was like very famous in the 90s and the 2000s. Pourquoi Ryan est-il couché avec... I told you, man. You can't have me translate French. It just throws my check off during these ones. Pick that on the chiller streams. On this one here, we got a point to get to. Another ad. I gotta do a time check, and then last topic.
We know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
That's right, George Stroumboulopoulos. I forgot about him too. Yeah, he was, well, not so much. Well, I guess he's Canadian Oprah now, but at the time he was Canadian. Who's that MTV guy? He does like, hold on a second. American Idol or something, or The Voice. Maybe it was The Voice. Carson Daly. Yeah, so that's the other guy, George Stroumboulopoulos. He's the Carson Daly of Canada, and he's also the Oprah of Canada. We really do like double or triple up. We don't have, and we had one good reporter, that was Stephen Mansbridge. Or Peter Mansbridge, sorry. We didn't have Madden. We had Don Cherry. Which, it was fine. They had their own flavors to it. They're mostly gone now. Now we got a bunch of diversity hire, Nepo baby type things in there, and nobody's entertaining and nobody's funny. Can't even watch a New Year's celebration now, because I watched. It was just like like literally homosexual minorities and middle-aged soccer moms cackling, and I was like, oh, who fucking watches this shit? And it wasn't even, it's like, I don't got a problem with minorities or color or any of that stuff. It's just that none of them were entertaining. That was the worst part. I'm like, no wonder they 51st state conversation got us all there. Anybody who's really good in Canada moves anyway. Nobody stays in, like, we cut down the tall trees. We cut down the tall poppies. I even had it on my Twitter. There was an article I stole. It was hard as hell to find too, because it's a very old one. It was cutting down the tall poppies, or cutting down the tall reeds, or something like that. I'm gonna see if I can pull it. Oh, I might have gotten rid of it. Interesting. Anyway, the point is, it was some chick who moved from communist somewhere. She came to Canada and noticed the same thing. And it was actually a nice little short story about how everybody wanted all the plants to be the same height. So first they cut down the trees, and then the reeds grew taller. Then they cut down the flowers and all this stuff. And like all of the really shitty plants that couldn't survive because the trees were blocking their sunlight got really tall. But then they were the only things there. And then a whole place ended up dying at the end. Yeah, dude, since the You People, Canada went down the drain. There's a whole bunch of things that kind of went down the drain all at once. To be fair, our third world diaspora problem is more of a band-aid solution that was just horribly implemented. Like we were already balls deep in our lost decade. Like, you know, Japan has a lost decade. Canada just we've just survived our 12th year of our lost decade, thank God. And then the idea was, well, we're having this lost decade. Productivity is 0 or -1 or something like that. -1%, something like that. And they're like, dude, let's just sprinkle Indians on this problem. And they're thinking that'll prop it up. And it didn't. It went down further. So we just brought all these people for worse productivity. Like, what the hell's wrong with that? I don't know. But let's throw government money at the Indians. And then there was a huge amount of government spending put on that, which made our GDP per capita drop, but absolute go up. So it looked good on a spreadsheet. Of course, then the problem with that is inflation went crazy, so spending went absolutely down because people couldn't afford anything. And so it just went worse. It's like that Simpsons episode. Do you remember that one where Grandpa Simpson and the other guy was teaching because the teacher strike or something like that, and then Grandpa had his beard in the pencil sharpener, and he goes, "Let me try this," and it kept getting closer, and he's like, "Let me try this, maybe this," until he got his beard all the way this far into the pencil sharpener. He's like, "All right, I'm out of here." Yeah, that's a paddling. Yeah, Canadian band, we all know how to line in a song, and the trees were all kept equal by hatchet, axe, and saw. I thought that was a poem. All right, anyways, anyway. Yeah, thanks to Praxeology Volume 3, I'm trading my Bugatti for a Honda Civic. Oh, Sam, hush you. To be fair, I'm actually thankful. Here, all right. So what was I going to do here? Same difference. Let me hit this time quickly. We'll talk about the books after. We'll end it off strong. We'll end it off strong with the product. The point of all this, and if you take only one, things are the same. Like, they're different, but they're the same. Women are still the same women, but instead of the signals that you may be used to and when you were dating in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, they have different commitment signals now that work. And this is just for flings or dating. Yeah, popping bottles at the club, probably not going to cut it anymore. Being able to do a 5K jog in under 25 minutes, probably going to be more likely. Being in shape is always going to be a better signal because it always requires work in the land of abundance. Dude, there is a store I just found out about. I didn't know. My girl found it from TikTok. We were going to the tile place to pick up some grout, and she drove by and she stopped in. It's like the Cookie Factory, something. I think it's called the Cookie Factory. Anyways, I walk in and I'm like, oh my God. So what they do is, it's like if you're at a factory and you're making chocolate bars and then there's like some breakage, right? They just take all that breakage, they put them in giant plastic sacks and they drop them in bins. They're like, there you go, $10. Here's your mound of like Hershey's broken Hershey's Kisses. You're like, holy shit. You know, cases of Triscuits where the corner of the box is all beat up and people are buying. And I was like, all right, I got to see this. Went in there, $20 of chocolate, and it's just like a big bag of like mishmashed broken chocolates. I was like, holy shit. I'm probably gonna end up tossing like $18 of it. I was like, man. But I guess the TikTokers just love this place. You walk in and just buy giant mounds of chocolate. There's like Toblerone shit everywhere. Where was I going with this one? I kind of got distracted. Oh yes, the signals all change. Yeah, so the running, the staying in shape, that part always tends to work well. For neighborhoods, there's going to be some way to signal better. It's always about signals. It's always about people trying to find their in-group, right? So you're going to find some people look for subtle signals and other signals. And the good signals can't be faked. The best signals can't be faked. But humans are definitely useful and definitely smart and definitely able to pick up on signals. And so we have this ever-changing arms race. And this is why when I tell you guys that adaptability and navigation is the quality to build in the sexual marketplace in 2025, whatever, is that's why people will have a signal, and that signal will be how they filter out people that they don't want to be around and people that they do want to be around. The people they don't want to be around want to be part of that group, and so they learn to cheat and fudge that signal. And then once they cheat and fudge that signal, the people catch on that the signal is no longer useful, and they invent another signal. And sometimes they can get just absolutely ridiculous. Like, to be fair, a lot of the woke DEI shit and like the trans stuff, those were mostly like nobody gave a shit about that. Nobody did. But if you were the kind of person that had like a good government job, you know, went to the opera, land acknowledgement, stuff like that, and if you put up with that kind of stuff, you tended to be the kind of person that you would get along with these other people. That's a lot of the progressivism is just social signaling run amok in the constant search for ever increasing investment signals. They got to the point that like, dude, if you're not chopping off your kid's dick, do we even want you in our neighborhood? Like, that's how you get to places like this. And same thing, the other people, same way. They work the other way. If you're not willing to yell at a troon in a bathroom, like, do you even belong in this neighborhood? No, not really. I'm such a nerd, I recorded Carson Daly onto CD-ROMs. Fair. So yeah, there's going to be new traits popping up. Like I said, you used to be able to pay $250 VIP service at the club, and girls would walk down and sit down at your table just to have free drinks, and then damn, got you in. Game would carry you further. Nowadays that doesn't happen. A lot of migrants come in there and everybody's like, I don't want to be groped, so I'm not going in there. So you got to be in a running club right now. So you have to have $250 pairs of running shoes. You got to have ping gear. You got to know what you're doing. And who knows? Eventually, like, inhospitable people will probably learn about running clubs and they'll join those, and then they'll have to move on from running clubs to something else. Maybe it'll be tea ceremonies. Maybe it'll be a bunch of people eating pork rinds at a bistro somewhere because it keeps off, like, I don't want to sound Islamophobic, but like, you get what I mean, right? There's going to be new signals, and the best people are the ones able to pick up on it. And it's, well, which signals? I don't want to care about picking up women. Well, you're going to have signals about your property in your neighborhood. Where do I move to a neighborhood where my kids don't have to get bullied on World Star Hip Hop videos? Where are you going to find what the signals are for that? Well, they could be price, yeah, but a lot of drug dealers make enough money that they move into this stuff too. In Canada, a lot of the really expensive places are fentanyl warehouses. They are offshored CCP Chinese money havens. There is organized crime in $2 million homes in certain neighborhoods. So you just really have to be on the ball, and you can't think simplistic anymore. Yeah, the game is a little bit harder, but the stakes have never been better. And since increasingly people aren't able to be this adaptive, if you can figure it out, you will do better because nobody else is competing with you. And that's the same thing as the 4% thing. Nobody else is going outside. Nobody is talking to women. Nobody's even attempting to increase their social circles, their social scenes, their matrices of social events. And so if you're actually doing it, there's no competition. Oh, but I'm not 6 foot with six. Nobody cares. There's no competition. Maybe if you were in a highly competitive thing, yeah, Tinder, Hinge, all those, extremely competitive. Yeah, being the 6'2" guy with model tier photos definitely makes a difference. But there's more places than Hinge. I don't know how to tell you this. Being one of the old heads that came from an age of like Facebook, OkCupid, and Plenty of Fish. Yeah, those places got saturated quickly too. You know what you did? You just went outside, did something else. $200 rock climbing shoes, $100 gym membership. Sometimes that's all it takes. And to be fair, I shouldn't be saying that one either. There was an epiphany I had when there was the Taylor Swift concert. They had the Taylor Swift concert just across the street from me. Friends even came up, brought their kids, and were like, yeah, can we get ready at your place? Yeah, glitter up. We had so much glitter in our place. It was fucking ridiculous. But I noticed this because the Taylor Swift concert was so expensive. All I saw were Canadians. And everybody's walking, and there's wandering the streets. Nobody's blocking traffic. You never have that stupid thing where somebody just like walks into the middle of an intersection and gets bamboozled by, oh my God, 3-story buildings. And they stop in the middle of traffic, start taking photos and causing traffic jams. Nothing in that. It was nice. It was wonderful. And I'm always going to be a Swiftie because of that. Because I'm like, dude, I get it. I get why people like Swift. I like how Ryan's almost the anti-Cappy. He preaches doom and gloom. Ryan says it's never been easier. It's both. That's the thing. Doom and gloom. But it's never been easier because the thing with doom and gloom is people, and trust me, I'm ground zero on doom and gloom. The middle of Canada, the epicenter of Canada, the patient zero of Canada, I see doom and gloom between COVID and migration and the political state and all this stuff. I see a very learned helplessness, downtrodden people. But what I'm also seeing is a lot of inaction causing present. People just give up and they wait it out and they just play coy. So yeah, if you're willing to move around, there's never been a better time for it. And yeah, there's going to be some hardships. Money might be tight for you, although I don't think so. We have too much money is really the problem right now. Like, we have so much money in the world floating around that the stupidest things are becoming investment vehicles. Real estate being an investment vehicle, pretty fucked up. NFTs, coins. There's one channel I watched. He put it into perspective for me. He said Al Capone, 10 years, ran the most successful bootlegging industry in the States. He murdered like 100 people, committed a huge amount of crimes, made like $100 million. And he pointed out the latest meme coin made that in 24 hours. And I was like, Jesus Christ. It's really, like, I get it. It's very grifty. It's low trust. It's borderline criminal. Oh, it's criminal. They just don't have laws for it yet, but you kind of like it's criminal. But there's that kind of money floating around, and it's mostly debt. I get that. Once people start calling in debts, and like the whole circle of people calling in their debts comes in, a lot of that money's going to evaporate. But as long as you hedge yourself against that risk, like don't start buying 4 properties, start investing, because you know a crash is coming. Heck, I even saw that the interest rates went up 3%. Everybody was like, oh yeah, use the equity on this place to buy a new place. And you rent that one out, and then you're making money. And I'm like, you know what? Me in 2007 would have thought that was a great idea, but me in 2008 knows better. I don't know how people have this short of a memory. Although, to be fair, a lot of people moved here in 2010, so they have no idea what the fuck any of this is. So they're the ones that are ripe for exploitation. Just vote for the banker. It'll be fine. Nobody's voting for the banker. Nobody's voting for the banker. I still do love Trump's thing on it, though. It's like, I'm going to cheerlead the banker, the evil central banker. And then all the people that hate me will not like him. Well, Trump likes him. I don't like him anymore. It's frying boomer brains. Yeah, you can still make... Well, because the way I thought about it is there's people that made it in Stalin's Russia. There's people that got laid. There's people that made money. Like, there is a path. There is always a path. And if there's not a path, there's at least a path of least worst. There's a least worst option at very worst. That's the worst you have to worry about. More often than not, though, like people are succeeding. And as much as I hate on the Daily Wire, they made bank. You know what they did? They just grifted to the government. Hey, let's take these tax dollars. Matt Walsh was making, what, $200,000 a year from USAID money. You can't fault him for doing that. It's there. If the theory that immigration boom is what caught Canada through, well, it didn't get us through the recession. And yeah, then we're not willing to do it a second time. There could be a proper crash. There will be there's already been a proper crash. It's just one of those funny things where perception kind of matters a little bit more than economics for a big part of it. If you looked at the numbers and you'd have given this to anybody and asked what happened here, they would point out there's an economic recession here. This is a lost decade, stuff like that. It would have been absolutely catastrophic. But if just nobody reported it as catastrophic, everybody has this like gaslit, like, is this really this bad? I don't know. Fuck. Maybe not. Nobody's really saying anything. But it really was that bad. It's mostly the part that just nobody acknowledged it. But yeah, so a second boom, we kind of do need a proper boom because there's people that are, there's enough of the population that's hedged against the economy, which I think is pretty much a bad thing. Like, yeah, you can't have people on index government pensions and government jobs to the extent that they can actually become a serious voting bloc and not have that cause some extreme issues. You need people to be attached to the economy. Otherwise, their voting interests are detached from the economy. And that's what we're seeing now between boomers retiring, government workers, and employees, which are spread around the country because you have to have federal employees everywhere. And they're able to just carve out enough of a win to keep things going the way they are, where everybody else kind of hurts for it, which is really annoying. But again, there's always a pathway out of it, right? At the very least, just go to where you liked more. All right, that's hit everything. And we got 20 minutes of bands. Nice. Let's get relaxed. Take a load off, finish your coffee. Let's make fun of, oh, here's a classic.
Name a bigger red flag than a white guy with a podcast. I'll wait.
I am not impressed. I will have you know, I'm like 80% white. The podcast is goddamn good, and I don't want you anyway. You got random Iroquois art and not art on your walls. You're not my type, sir. Or madam. I don't know, you're allowed to say any more?
Yeah, welcome to the neighborhood. And she said she was welcome. Why don't you come out? I'll give you a tour of the house. Let me show you. I'll give you a nice movie. little behind the scenes footage for everybody there.
You know what's crazy about that? Everybody, with the exception of Rolo and I, everybody in that video hates everybody else. Oh, I guess me and Rich were cool. But everybody in that video hates everybody else in that video. So yeah, me, Rich, and Rolo, everybody else. I can't fucking stand any of these people. Makes me laugh. Yeah, Rob, you might not have seen the new ones. I've got a bunch of sad nostalgia for you, which is pretty funny. So the books. Yeah, I was talking about this one. By the way, thank you so much, guys. I haven't pulled them up today. I usually do every day. It's not because I'm vain, but because Amazon has this thing where if they find mistakes in your book, they'll pull it off the shelves. And there's always a chance you missed someone. But, come on. So Praxeology 3, the trilogy. The trilogy is still doing extremely well. Volume 1 is Frame. Volume 2 is Dread. Volume 3 is Field Reports. Volume 4 is probably going to be coming out this summer. I have the manuscript. It's all sitting there. It's edited and it's ready to go. I just have to publish it desktop-wise. I wanted to give some space because I don't want to start overloading people with like 3 books in a month because that's a lot to ask. But yeah, they're doing great, and I'm appreciative of every single one of you. And my big whole goal is for you to gain something from it. Like to understand the concept of frame and boundaries from Frame. If you get there, I'm happy and you're happy, and you did it for the low price of $19.95 or $9.95 on a Kindle. Same thing with Volume 2, Dread. You're in a shitty marriage. You don't like the idea of people giving you these 10 ways to win your wife's heart or whatever. Same thing, $9.99 or $19.95 on paperback, or even get the hardcovers. I actually picked up my hardcovers finally. Where'd I put them? One sec. Goddamn art, man. Goddamn pieces of art. So yeah, Frame. Really does look good as the I haven't even cracked the spine yet. Everything you've ever needed to know about that. Boundaries, assertiveness, whatever. Dread. I did not realize, by the way, this one is a beast compared to the others. I always thought that Frame was the big one. No, man, it's Dread. Dread is the beast. So yeah, you've read all the theories, you've read all the mental models, and then maybe I'm like, I still don't get it. So yeah, like a Reader's Digest of it. Here's everybody who's been trying to apply these things. Here's the issues they ran into. It's kind of like a meta storytelling bit. It's almost a transition because really, and it's something I've discovered myself over the years, is that people don't learn by being taught. People learn by listening to and internaling stories. Coach, can you explain Frame in a flannel shirt so I can understand it better? Shut up, Mish, you son of a bitch. Yeah, Rich and Dr. Smith had a train wreck after a show called Before the Train Wreck. Oh, sweet irony. I don't know whatever happened with those two. I really don't. I just remember they just stopped working together and then... Which is too bad. Like I said, I've always got time and patience for Rich. Rich and Rolo. The bonds of getting fucked over by one crazy psycho. Brotherhoods, man. And other than chucking shit, you'll never hear me saying a bad word about either of them. I think they're good people. Even Donnie. Like, I know he's all brand now, and it's like, but the Donnie that's behind all that, I still like the guy. Yeah, trying to force myself to read physical books again. Too many textbooks, political books burned me out. Yeah, well, see, Lee, that's where I'm getting with this one. And that's where Praxeology Volume 3 comes in, where it's more of a transition from nonfiction to fiction. Because, yeah, people just did better with stories. I figured that out when I started doing this. Like, Nick, he started suggesting books that I would probably like because he knew me. And it was the one he gave me, Oliver Lange's Defiance. It's, remember Wolverine? What's that one? Red Dawn? Red Dawn largely ripped this off, and I can kind of see it. They changed Red Dawn, but it was like a middle-aged dude and like a retarded kid. They're like, let's just put Patrick Swayze in there instead. And then they kind of made Red Dawn from it. And I started realizing, oh, dude, there's actually good stories out there. And it kind of, like, nothing made me appreciate how shitty communism was. Well, other than being in Canada. But yeah, like reading it through there, you understand it from like a storytelling lens. And your body and your brain kind of not only enjoys it, but understands it better. And so then, next one, Dog Walker. That's the same one there. It's like, dude, write a proper story. Make it something good and entertaining. And probably, like, I've had a lot of great compliments and reviews on the book. One of my favorites was, there was this girl, and I can't recall her name right now. I'd have to go back and look at it. And she was just like, yeah, I can't stand the manosphere. I find all that shit's piece of shit, and I don't like the talks, I don't like the conversation, but I love the book, and it's well written. She called it the Great American Novel, which makes me feel happy, because that means I got a shot at getting to America and getting my citizenship. But yeah, and it's funny because it's the same stuff in there. Like, if you guys know all the red pill stuff, you'll probably recognize Promise Keepers. You'll recognize hypergamy in there, all the concepts, but I don't tell you that's what they are. I don't think I use the word hypergamy or any of the red pill jargon, not once. I think Promise Keeper, and I didn't even say it as like as a proper noun. I just said it as he made a promise kind of thing. But yeah, none of the jargon, none of the terms. I just took, well, what would, if this is a true concept, which argue for the most part things are in here, how would they play out in the real life situation of, or in like a story of somebody else? And so I just do that, follow it through. And a lot of people resonate a lot harder with it. People that would otherwise cannot stand this space. And I don't blame them. It is a bit of a shithole. And they're getting it. And they're like, oh yeah, this is actually really good. I can see that. And they start to see their lives in it. Like, it's a humbling thing where I wrote, now some of the stuff is inspired by stuff I've seen in my life or stories I've heard from other people. And then you fit it within a story element. So it's not true. It's inspired by, not, based on. But that's the thing. And here's the point that I'm getting with Ty talking about this and Lee talking about this. I can't read it. Do you know why you can't read it? You can't read books because books are fucking boring. And it's not because books have to be boring. It's because the people writing books are boring. I didn't know this at all until I started reading. Like, I was reading other books to kind of like, what's the top books out right now to read this? And I'm like, I can't read any of them. How do people read books? And that's when he sent me this. And I could actually read this. I sat down and read it like 2 days. Just read it. We had a power outage too, so I had nothing else to do. Hemingway's The Short Life of something Macomb. It's like a 5,000 word short story. I read that too. And I'm like, dude, it turns out like it's very easy to read a book if the writer doesn't waste your fucking time. And it's like, is that it? All I have to do is just look at this. Like, so here's the thing. And that's, I write as if somebody who has OCD and plenty of better shit to do would read. You can't read because you need glasses. Well, there's also that, yeah. Just put the book closer to your face. And so yeah, that. So how about this? Start it with a killer. You almost have to treat it like advertising, right? Yeah, you bought the book, but that first chapter, that first paragraph better fucking hook you on not wasting your time. That first page better hook you on not wasting your time. That first chapter starts off, first thing is a girl noticing, hey, your dick's a different color. That's weird. Sets everybody up right away. What the fuck is that? Jesus. You're going to start with something that crude? I have to see more, like a rubbernecking thing. And it gives you no, like, you're not going to get hoodwinked. You're left with something crude, astute, and treated funny, humorously, like treated with humor. And so you know automatically what you're in for. So if you're good on that, you'll be good on the rest. Carries through and it delivers. You'll laugh 3 times or your money back. I can't offer money back, but I mean, it's the good saying to have. And I even added, if you ever do follow me on Substack, you got to get onto Substack. I have some short stories I've been adding on there. I'm trying to do more. I wanted to have one tomorrow. Probably not going to get it done. And it's good for practice too, because I got a new book that's coming out when it's done. I was thinking the summer, but it might be the fall. That's going to be, the working title for that one is Jake Long in Softbone. It's going to be a cyberpunk book. It's going to be awesome. All the woke DEI bullshit. I'm like, just add it 10% to it and it becomes dystopian sci-fi. And I'm like, that's awesome. How do I not? But where am I going with this? Oh yeah, I'm pulling up the Substack. Where is my goddamn Substack? I'm so bad at clicking things when I need to. When I'm just sitting here casually, it's very quick. There we go. So I actually wrote a short story that's the... This is more of an epilogue to it. This is an epilogue to The Dog Walker, if you wanted to read it. which is funny because the one character in the dog walker, I call him Laz, he was the supervisor on the ship, was actually loosely based on a real person. I took some of the character attributes of him and just put him into the story. None of the actual stuff happened, but he died on me this year, like 2 weeks ago, which was kind of sad. He was probably the best boss I ever had. And so I kind of like that he's carrying on. And then this was kind of like, I was at the funeral and it kind of got me thinking, like, story wise, imagine the Rex guy. Like, how would the Rex guy deal with that character dying after experiencing what he did? And I kind of put that stuff in there. But I guarantee you, if you're not, I don't like reading, but you'll probably, if you're not a reader and you have a hard time getting through fiction, give this one a try. I think you'll realize that it's not that you can't read or you're not put forward or ADHD. It's just that most people's writing is derivative, self-indulgent, boring, meandering, and it's just not made to appeal to you. Oh, tried reading Brothers, Van Halen. Nope, I lived those years. Some memories left buried in Davy Jones' locker. Yeah. Technically, I got another one on here too that I just did. What did I call it? The Dog and the Daughter. This one, I should tell you to read it, but like a lot of guys got really mad at me. They got really mad at me. I'm like, I'm not. Stop making me cry. So this one, it'll hit you right in the feelings. I'll warn you right now. The ending is it's a tearjerker. Yeah, The Man and the Dog, tough to read, dude. It was tough to write. Like, exactly why you found it tough to read was the same reason. Like, I had a hard time getting through writing the ending of it myself. And to be fair, like, it's not the best thing I've ever written, but this is what I want to deliver to you guys. I want you guys to feel something. I want something that resonates with you. And I think nobody's doing this. Like, there's not quite Grave of the Fireflies bad, but it's good bad. It won't make you, it makes you angry because you're forced to feel, not because the feelings are fucking horrible. And I realized, yeah, it's like when I was reading the Hemingway, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of, there's nothing about Hemingway that you couldn't do today. Yeah, you can't be Hemingway, but there's equivalents. There's other guys that could do a Hemingway-esque thing, or just Hemingway in the sense that a guy could read this and enjoy it because the themes and the writing and that appeal to him, right? And nobody's doing this. When was the last time you saw a movie that you couldn't watch around your spouse because she called you a homosexual because your eyes started tearing up? Not many. I think Gattaca was out of all the movies, I think Gattaca was the last one that really kind of, it's like, I don't want to watch this around you. That one. Just that scene where the doctor tells him, it's like, passes his piss test. It's like, you're going to miss your flight, Vincent. It's like right there. I'm like, oh man, that's a fucking killer. And all this attempt to get guys to feel something, and they just treat us like women. We're going to get you to feel angry. There's more emotions than anger, man. You don't need to piss me off all the time. Sometimes you can make me happy about something. Sometimes you can make me reflective. Sometimes you can make me, what's the word I want? Melancholy, but, positive for the future. There's all kinds of complex emotions that guys could have, and we never get that, and we're just starved for it. And is it any wonder that we don't watch TV? Is it any wonder that we don't watch movies? Is there any wonder we don't read books? Because nobody does shit like this. And it's not because they hate men or something like that. It's just people are really shitty at it. I know they are, because if I can do half-ass good at it, then anybody can. They just aren't. Men like facts, not stories. Here's the thing. They're still facts. Even in good male stories, they're still facts. It's just how they're presented. That's the difference. A dry list of information on a list is a fact. A story is a fact. Like, I'll use the short life of Macomb. It's about a guy goes on, they're like some rich American people, him and a couple, really young, in the hip crowd, whatever. They go to do a safari in Africa because that's just what you do. And they go down there, and then the husband is given and they kind of set you up for success, but he chickens out and he doesn't get a chance to kill the thing. And the hunter there, William, I think is his name, whatever, I can't remember the name right now. He has to kill the thing for him. And then the story starts when they're driving out of it. And he's like, don't worry. It's like everybody gets nerves. It happens. And the wife just like, oh, he's such a bitch. So she goes and she fucks the guy. She fucks the hunter. Comes back to the tent, and the husband's fucking mad at her. You promised no more cucking. They literally used cuckoldry in that. I was like, holy shit. And he's like very just ineffective, afraid, and I don't want to hurt anything. And the wife doesn't respect him, so she just sleeps with everybody on him, and he feels so powerless to do anything about it. And then he makes a decision. They take him out hunting again. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go do it. And he does. And he hunts and he does it and he works and he's like, fuck, I did it. I feel good. And then he kind of got his, and then the guy's like, yeah, I feel bad for him. But he's kind of a pussy. And now he's like, dude, I kind of like this guy now. He kind of finds his balls. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but like, fuck. Fucking bitch. That's like a feeling you can have. Oh, that fucking bitch. It's almost like a gallows humor kind of ending to it. And a guy can feel that. It's absolutely great at that. Sir, your writing style complements a Cuban bungalow and a light rum. Oh, dude, I actually don't mind light rum. Had you said gin though, you and I'd have been fast friends. But thank you. Anyway, so like ultimately on this, I do want you guys to buy these books, but at the same time, I don't want to be that guy who's selling merch. We were having a Twitter argument over some other author who's like not really selling copies because he just thought if you write it, they will come. I don't even know if his book's any good. I got a sample. I still haven't touched it. I want to see if it's actually any good, but for some reason, there is this weird writer community of guys who want to write fantasy and they want to write sci-fi and genre fiction because they think that's the only thing guys will read. And I don't know if they're any good at writing or not, but they refuse to market it. So like, I'm passionate about this book and I'm passionate about this genre, but you're not passionate enough to try and make people learn who the fuck you are so they might even want to read it. So if you don't give a shit about you, why is anybody else going to give a shit? They're like, yeah, but that's not pure. And then they'll ask stupid questions like, should I even hire an editor? And you're just like, oh my God. And then I understand when Nick tells me this, he goes, most people don't actually want to be authors. They don't want to sell books. They just want to have that great American novel. And then like I did it. Like a checklist on a bucket list of things you want to do. A book that nobody bought. And I was like, oh, nobody's even trying. And it's like I was just telling you before, there's no competition. Try, take it seriously, look for the things that are new. You'll get in there. And this, by the way, huge thanks on this one. It is still selling crazily. It didn't have the best, like it had the second best launch of all the books that I have. Frame is the only one that had a better launch. Frame sold like 1,200 in the first month, which is insane and awesome. And thank you very much for that. This one didn't make it there, but it has a far higher and longer tail. So it's going to be great. Which book were you describing with the hunting cuck? Is that something by Hemingway? Yeah, that one is The Short, Happy Life of, I want to say it's Walter Macomber. Hold on a second here. The Short, Happy Life of Francis Macomber. That's the one. It's really good. Francis, yeah. And so that one is kind of, and there's more books. Like obviously there's that one. There's this one. There's ones I like, but that one's kind of like my anchor. I like that one because it has the right amount of humor, of seriousness, of the facts that only guys will ever read, but it also delivers it in a way that's entertaining. I just like, from a structural standpoint, I enjoy how that one is put together. I think that was the other thing Nick said. And then if you ever read the first one there, the two military funerals. Obviously the first one being the actual funeral he's at, but the second one is a metaphor for the things going on in there. You'll get it. I kind of like how he put it. I didn't realize it did this, which is another reason why I think you should hire an editor, because the way it frames what I'm doing is so much better than what I would have thought of. I don't know what I'm doing. I just do what I think works. And then he's like, oh, this is just like this. I'm like, hey, that's actually pretty clever. I wish I'd have done that. But the way he describes the dog walker is a funny story with moments of seriousness, where the two funerals was a serious story with moments of funniness. And I was like, I like that. And that's the one thing I have found, and I guess I'll end with this. It's not even so much advice or anything. It's just my thoughts, unstructured, before we send you off to whatever. Oh no, it's much better than the Jack Murphy thing, the hunting cock. It's good. You guys will like it. I guarantee you'll like it. And if you don't like it, you don't like reading. It's flat out. I can't think of a better example to get a guy who doesn't read with ADHD into books than to that. Because it's just short enough, too, that you can't not finish it in a single setting. In art, when I was in my various art classes in my old fine arts degree, there was a concept of contrast, juxtaposition. And that mattered for composition and focal points. There's the concept called a focal point. In other words, when you look at a painting, what is your eye immediately drawn to? That's the focal point. If it's just a blank canvas, you're staring dead center. But anything you add will create a difference in focal point. Focal path is when you have more than one focal point, the order in which your eye scans from left to right. Easy way to think about that is when you're reading a book, you start top left, go to the right, go to bottom left, bottom right. So that reverse Z pattern. And there's ways to change the importance, and there's depth, right? So sometimes you make something bigger, make something smaller, something colorful. Sometimes you just make something that stands out. You can have a completely messy, completely busy page with a very clear, plain element in front of it. All these juxtapositions, they create visual interest. It's the same as when I was talking about driving on Alberta roads. If the road is just straight and narrow and there's nothing around, you get hypnotized and you just fall off the side of the road. So they actually have it as law where every 140 kilometers, something like that, you have to add a turn on the road. And that's the idea of you need stuff that occasionally breaks expectations to keep your interest in it. And I find books follow the same thing. So yeah, if you have a super serious, somber tone, an occasional bit of levity in there, just to lull you out of hypnosis is a good way of keeping interest. A character that suddenly changes what you expect of them at opportune moments, and then you kind of have to make that fit too, right? So like the change has to be for a reason. Maybe it's something he's doing, but all these little things you do to create changes. And I don't find anybody's doing that with anything anymore. And that's why you don't like it, is because everything is same. Like if I have to I've tried reading a bunch of fantasy books. I've talked about a few on here that I enjoy, and I think I've done it better than most. But the one thing that drives me nuts is when I have to read the first 3 chapters and all they're doing is world building. It's like, I don't need to know how the economic system works in Game of Thrones in order to enjoy a story about a guy stabbing in the heart. Shit like this. As a guy with ADHD, Ryan's books are infuriatingly easy to read. It's because I have ADHD when I'm writing the things. And so I'm like, if I'm getting bored at this point writing it, there's no way a reader's going to like it. And so I'm like, what do I do? And sometimes it's just sometimes there's an easy thing where I can just put a joke in there. Just throw a joke right about here where I'm getting really fucking tired of writing this. And I have to read it over again myself. I'm like, oh, something there, add some levity. Maybe that's where the chapter ends right there. Maybe this part is boring enough, I can just get rid of it. And I know it's a weird deconstructive way to look at this, but I find with writing, thinking about how the end user reads it, I think makes a big difference. At least I hope so. I'm not as well read as I need to be to know to say this with any type of certainty, but yeah. What is the person doing when they read this? And it's amazing. Like I've thought, that goes for everything. Pricing. If you're going to price, if you're doing a YouTube video, if you're doing a subscription service, you're doing this, what is the person buying? Right? With the Patreon, what are they buying? Well, it's partially an entertaining podcast, but it's mostly a very intimate, raw, organized workshop session based on frame, dread, all the red pill stuff in the sidebar we're talking about for implementing. It's essentially Praxeology Volume 3 in a group's workshop setting. No punches pulled, complete discretion, and that's why it works, right? But then I thought about pricing. Well, and I know Rich always says to charge more, and I'm like, well, I kind of like the idea of more people but paying less because it's scalable. So why would you have to worry about why charge $50 a session for this one? Somebody might decide that, yeah, okay, I get it after a month, and then, I'll move on. I have found great value in the Starbucks method of pricing. And that's for books too. A book costs $10. $10 is like a fancy coffee and a cookie. Nobody's gonna. I've pissed away money on the most flimsy justifications to spend $10 on something stupid. Just walk into a store. Ooh, a piece of gum with a nice wrapper. I'll pay $10 for that. What the fuck was I thinking? So why would I charge $2.99 for a book? I don't even think you can buy anything in Canada for $2.99 anymore. I really don't. So I think about that. What is somebody doing? Well, when somebody wants to spend $10 on something, they're going to go to a Steam sale and buy some cheap game, right? And you probably don't even play it, but just the idea of buying the game was good enough. So why not charge $10 for that? How about a paperback? I don't know, $20. What do you pay for $20? Something you enjoy, something that looks good. A nice package with some piece of shit you don't even think. Sir, I don't think chicken masala goes with gin. Oh, it absolutely does. Ask me how I know, Sam Whiskey. $4.99. Sir, I don't think chicken masala goes with gin. Chicken masala goes with gin because they are the most quintessential British dishes ever. Nothing like curry and gin to get in your inner Brit. Yeah, so $20 for that. So charge those. When you're reading it, what's somebody when they buy a book, and I already know this, Rob has admitted it himself too. A lot of people will buy my book or my whatever's I'm selling, my merch, because not because they like it, but because they like me. So I haven't actually sold a book yet. I've sold an opportunity to give you a chance to read the book. It's not the same thing. So when they open that page, like first off, the cover has to look good enough. You'd be like, yeah, I don't want to buy some piece of shit. I want something that looks good. All right, there. First words. That first sentence better prove to you that I'm not wasting your fucking time. Otherwise, you're just going to put it on your bookshelf and say, yeah, there's Ryan's book. That's great. That's great too. If you're just selling merch, that's good enough. I think, what was his name? Turd Flinging Monkey had that. He had like a Dr. Seuss level, 3 words a page kind of picture book for kids. It was merch. You're not buying it because you're learning anything. You're not buying it because it's entertaining. You're buying it because you like the guy who put it out. And I'm not shitting on him for it. I'm assuming it did well. I never really checked on it. Clary has the worst covers in the history of books, and he sells them. I don't know to what extent his would be merch versus reading. I don't know his audience as well as he does, so he definitely knows what they like. But for me, it's like, yeah, somebody has no idea who the fuck I am. They saw this book, the cover stood out from the others, like, I'll give it a shot. They got to read that first sentence. Am I wasting my time? I'm like, nope, you're not. Then they read the first paragraph, the first page. They're like, oh, okay, I get it. Then they read the first chapter. Okay, now I got a bit of buy-in. Now I can get a little bit of spacing. And I don't know why people don't do this more. I think there's too much narcissism where they keep thinking they're entitled to something. Like, I'm entitled to their money. They bought my book. It's that fucking good. It's like, well, is it? Because that's not my decision if it's any good. I'm constantly having to sell you on things that I do being good. I have to sit here and run my mouth about fucking topics and bitch about being run up the flagpole. Otherwise, you won't even look at this book. And then when you look at this book, you need like a good piece of art on the front, or you're like, I'm not going to buy that piece of shit. And then when you buy that piece of shit and you open up the first page, I have to prove to you, look, you didn't waste your time or your money. You have to read that. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's constantly selling. And I find so many people are just like, they feel they're owed your attention and your time. And it's like, of course I'm awesome. Why wouldn't you guys sit here and listen to me run my mouth for and I fucking hate that shit. And that's why, if you ever wondered, and I'll end on this because we're at the end of time now. If you've ever wondered why I am fucking over people on Twitter, like brands, and I'm so acerbic and I shit on them so much, and I have nothing but crass, cynical, jaded humor and memes, and I send goatsy to people because fuck you, that's why. It's like my version of Robin Hood. I'm not stealing from the rich to give to the poor. I'm stealing from the influencer to hurt his narcissism because fuck you make everybody's life harder. And I've been saying it. It was literally the first thing I said when I stepped on that stage and that conference that shall not be named in Orlando, Florida, was that you guys have spent like a lot of money and you're giving me hours of your free time. And I treat that with some reverence. And I don't think anybody who's honest with themselves thinks any differently. Because attention's the currency of the realm. Money is easy. Fame is easy. Attention is hard. Attention is fucking hard. Yeah, I come here to chill and hang out. But that's the point. You made a decision to come here and chill and hang out. You could have gone anywhere. You could be on a lo-fi YouTube stream. You could be on somebody's fishing channel. You could be sitting here and watching the news on the background. You could be painting Warhammer figurines, but you choose to came here. And as much as it's like, yeah, one person, I can't suck everybody's dick in the chat, but you have to treat that with some level of reverence, and you have to, at the very least, I will do my best not to waste your fucking time. And if you can manage that, I think you can do this. And again, yeah, everything sucks. Everything is slop. Everybody is AstroTurf. Daily Wire was just USA'd AstroTurf. the great drag queen show was all AstroTurf. Everybody is wasting your fucking time and spending an inordinate amount of money. And that's the only thing I can offer that I know they never will, is that I am here because I am here for a purpose. I am here to make sure you guys receive more value from me en masse than I receive from you via attention and super chats and merch and books and whatever. And I'm like, that's at least an honest transaction, and I can live with that. And I appreciate all of you guys that you've stuck around for this long. And I'm 7 minutes over time. I don't know who's doing Rule Zero today. I have to check. I got to go tile after this, so I can't show up. But you're on your own on that one. So yeah.
'79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take 1.
40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone. Does that make sense?
Where they say there are Indian people pooping on our beach.
It's a spool of wire. 40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone.